Oh, hi. Sound engineer Alex Contel speaking. It looks like we're running a little bit behind in our schedule, so this week we're going to run one of our most listened episodes. Episode 251, Rituals. We hope you enjoy it.
This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, I ask everyone about rituals. Woo!
What do you get when you gobble down sweets? Eating as much as... This is what a Joey sounds like.
What do you get when you fall in love? Something else. Sounds like an heron. Yes, that's what an heron sounds like today.
And this is what an executive producer and yacht rocker, Jess Vander, sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess. I feel like I am multiple times a yacht rocker, so it's now a sign that I need to go learn about what that exactly is.
Fair,
Yeah, we'll be there.
fair. Yeah, I'll join you. It's true. The only thing that we have, I think, in terms of housekeeping, cleaning, etc., is just the. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, it is cough sick season around Critical Nonsense. So you might hear some coughs. You might some of you might hear that from me. And I'm sorry that you have to hear it in your ears or in your subway cars or your cars or houses. So it's fine.
Aaron, when you made the sound for I don't know why, it made me think of the word Twitter-pated from Bambi.
Yes.
So if we sound Twitter-pated, that's why.
That's why. We'll be back on our feet in no time. It's just a little cough, snuff.
What's a little bronchitis between friends?
Exactly. Oh, yes. Well put.
Oh.
I got the chitis.
Got the chitis. It is
The itis.
important. It's a different type of the itis, and I co-sign this. I don't know if we can consider it, but you know what? It looks like the doormat's been shaken out. This house is clean.
Motussin for your chitis.
All right. If we're gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna talk about Mucinex because I have my double cocktail of Mucinex and Dayquil and NyQuil, and hoo-wee. Aside from flying like a kite, I am clear. I am ready to board the flight. Yes.
Mucinex is a modern miracle, and also it turned you into a desiccated scarab.
Yes,
so these are
true.
the things that you just have to deal with. You're just preserved in amber forever, and future generations will be able to find you preserved, take your DNA, and reconstitute you in an amusement park. But the mucus is gone, so it's great.
Well, and here I thought they were going to find me preserved underneath a pyramid, sort of like muttering Emotep. And then Rachel Weisz would solve the world's problems. But you know what?
As she does.
It's fine. She does that.
Well,
Brendan Fraser, shouts to you too. Hat tip.
You're going the Brendan Fraser route, not the Tom Cruise route. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, let's not let that happen because I refuse to admit that mummy ever happened. For those of you who followed this is Joey and Aaron talking about movies. Welcome to
talk.
Movie Phone.
Oh, interesting. Because now that we're here and the house was clean, but then you just ran back in because you forgot your keys and you kept your shoes on and it was no. And then, you're like, I'll slip for that later.
Yes.
So we have this moment where I don't know about you, but I think I growing up didn't fully appreciate that brand names of medicines were not like the birth certificate names of these medicines. And I have a list, obviously, of
course,
of the actual birth names of the medicines.
I love this.
And do you want to hear them?
Yes.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say this was like a thing that I was into when I was a child for some reason because my mom was a nurse. So I'd be like, acetaminophen, naproxen sodium, diphenhydramine, ibuprofen,
Exactly. So just like the ones that I know, and because they're like they're very common ones, but certainly are by no means like the only big ones. I've got guaifenesin, which is the expectorant like a Mucinex. We've got, which is actually different from dextromethorphan, which is the antitussive, which basically means like antitussive is no cough. So one thing gets it
No
up, it's a
Motussin.
dislodger, and then the other is like, get it out. Acetaminophen, that's pain and fever. Not ibuprofen, which is reducing inflammation.
Tylenol.
That's the Tylenol Advil split, boom, or Motrin, boom.
Acetylsalicylic acid.
Oh my God, okay, you're an overachiever, we get it. Okay.
Aspirin.
Yeah, we have phenylephrine, nasal decongestant, and then there's like a bunch
Which
of
is
other
fake.
ones.
Are you aware of the T on phenylephrine?
Oh my God,
Not
tell
real.
us more.
Not real. Doesn't
Not
do
real?
anything.
Is oxymetazoline functional?
The only one that I'm aware of that is non-functional is phenylephrine because it was used in the moment when we took pseudoephedrine off of the shelves and they replaced it with phenylephrine so people weren't making meth with like over-the-counter cold medicine, except it doesn't do anything. Like there's a bunch of stuff like including like some congressional stuff of like, wait, what's happening? Like we were just putting this thing in and telling people it like decongests them and it doesn't. Okay, great. Cool.
Wow. And that is the beauty of science, where we think things and then we learn new things and then we're wrong.
And so, I'm gonna move us to the door frame.
Yeah, right. Great idea.
But as we step out of this clean house, ibuprofen. How do you really pronounce it? But do you pronounce it?
Boo, ibu.
You do ibu. You do ibuprofen. How do you say ibu?
Yeah.
I colloquialize it to ibuprofen. I pretend like it's a someone's name, like either ibuprofen or it's like an initialism of like ibuprofen wrote this poem. Like that's all.
Sir,
that's just how I do it. So,
Dame
all right, guys.
ibuprofen.
Let's link our arms together and walk out of this clean house that is now
goodness.
so spanned.
We made a
It is
mess.
perfect.
We made a mess
We
and
made a
just
mess.
left.
We'll be back in there next week. Now that we're starting the podcast, Jess, I feel like you've got mind grapes that requires some wine making.
I do.
I'm sorry, I'm sick.
Come
Shiny,
squish
what's
them
happening?
with me. Ooh. Great.
Mm-hmm.
This last week has been a confluence of several things that remind me of ritual. The first is the shocking, sort of almost impossible, yet many times over repeated feat of building pyramids. Like a pyramid is very hard to build. It is definitionally very hard to build, and
Breaking.
so many were made, and like a certain way. And I, this is sparked by an archaeological excursion that I went on about the pyramids in Mesoamerica, of which there are many, and more being discovered as we speak. But it was just shocking to me that like something so difficult has been repeated many times for spiritual and communal and many other reasons.
Geometrical.
Right. Astronomical. This converges with another thing that is happening right now. The Lunar New Year approaches. And every Lunar New Year, I was just talking with my family about what foods we would be eating, and dumplings are consumed because they resemble the form of the old school golden ingot. And other symbolic foods are eaten. And we all just agree that that's what we eat. On like everyone is eating this food at this time of year. It's just like it's shocking how many people are like aligned on that, in the same way that like everyone's like, yes, on Thanksgiving it is turkey that we shall eat, and yes, there are deviants, but like largely that's the thing we aligned on. So it's just like, okay, we get it. It's like dumpling time. And then you have to acknowledge this new phenomenon. Anytime you start a new personal ritual, it's like a surprising thing. And for me, I fall in love with chai at home. And I'm no sponsors, but also I'm a big fan of Kolkata Chai, the upstart in New York City. Very good. And they have a package that you can use and make a chai kit at home. And I've been making it, and I've found, wow, this is like an extremely, it's not that difficult, but it is, an extremely intentional ritual to have in the mornings that many, many people on this earth partake in daily. And to feel this is not something I grew up with, but to feel like I am playing some part in this ritual is really interesting, because it is such a thing for so many people. And being on the precipice of a new ritual is very interesting. So the pyramids, dumpling time, chai. This means there just has to be something about rituals that we love. And so I would love to explore with you both some theories that we might have about why we love rituals so much. Why? Sorry.
I love that there was a wood block and then a very pointed reinforcement of the why.
It sounded like the Dave Chappelle why from Half Baked when
It did. Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Sex my mama. Why?
Yes. So many thoughts about Dave Chappelle. So, my knee-jerk reaction, I feel like ritual comes up a lot in different contexts of like the work that we do and stuff like that. I feel like it ends up in projects every couple of years. There's a conversation about ritual and the importance of it. And one thing that stands out above it all is that, we love us some structure. We as human beings are constantly looking to just like taxonomize everything possible. Taxonify. No, let's just run with it. To apply taxonomy to everything. And so I think that ritual is a way to like create to taxonomize time. Like it, because I think there's a stretch in how you could maybe define a ritual. And I'm curious if you think that it's actually this stretchy. There's like a calendar, like just saying that like Monday the 3rd of June is always Monday the 3rd of June. That's a ritual. Just, that's a structure of time.
It doesn't work that way, Gregor. Ian.
You with your silly calendar approach. God, I wish we did the Mayan calendar instead. But it just makes more sense. It's even the whole way around instead of random 28, 30, and 31. It doesn't make sense that we use the Gregorian calendar. I know I'm not the only person that's thought about this. But it's as much as it is about time, it is also about I was going to say community, but I'm going to stop on time because actually I'd imagine we'll talk about community and whether or not that's actually a thing. But that's my thought.
I have strong opinions about this.
No.
What?
Nay.
Joey.
Never.
First of all, Gong Hei Fa Choi or Shinyang Kwai Le. I asked her how to say it in Korean today, but I couldn't pronounce it. And she was saying it really fast. I think rituals for me personally, individually, are about external cues for mind state entering. Like for lack of a better term, like in the same way, like I come to the office so that I can hit enough cues to be like, it's work time, like at Christmas, like there are these things that my family does that are like, okay, like you're entering into like revelry and, celebration of family and I like or like 4th of July, like you're outside, you're barbecuing, like it helps you enter like the appropriate mind state and synchronize with the people that you're with. And I get really frustrated because my wife's family doesn't like do any of the ritualistic things. And I'm like, why can't we do like at like holiday events or whatever? Like they treat it like any other, like if we're just having a meal together on like a regular Sunday or something like that. I'm like, no, I want to like make this a thing. Come on.
Make it a thing. Come on. Exactly. And this is why, so on this exact subject is why I was really interested when I came across this academic paper on the subject. Oh my God, who am I, Joey? Called Ritual Play and Belief in Evolution in Early Human Societies. And it was, here's how it describes play and then how it relates to ritual. So they say, quote, play is repeated, incompletely functional behavior, different from more serious versions structurally, contextually, or ontogenetically, and initiated where the animal is in a relaxed or low-stress setting. Cool, that's how we play. Ritual, on the other hand, or in a similar hand, I guess, is where that play transcends from one individual into a community and or a group of people. And as I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, it's like, this is a chance to play as a group. Like we all were taught growing up how to play this game. Like we were taught some rules of like, this is just the way it's played. Like you just have to have these cards, these foods, these things. And then now we all know those rules. So then we can do the thing together. And because we know them, it makes it fun because now this is a thing that we share. And when you talk about like that synchrony, that's what this made me think of too, right? It's like, it doesn't work unless you all know what the rules are. But if you do, now we're like, cool, we're all doing it. And that is that special feeling of, being uniquely in lockstep. And that is like a fun, it's like ultimately for fun. Just because we're wired like that.
There's a question to me, like when I think about the types of rituals that y'all are talking about, like holiday cues or social things, I think as well about like the like colloquial use of ritual in other ways too. Like, I mean, that's colloquial too, but I'm thinking about individual ritual. Like, let's say someone wants to start a new habit of meditating or something like that, right? And there is an intention to it. There's an elevation to it. There's that signal of like mode shift that I think that you talked about, Joey, too, of that. But it's like, in and of itself, it's something that's like kind of consecrated and something that's like not just like the everything else. And it's something that you get to do on a regular basis. And I'm curious if you think that like, I think that sometimes like habit, routine, and ritual they're all different ideas. And I think that sometimes we sort of take habits and we try to treat them as rituals to elevate them, make them special, make them intentional. But like, is that real? Is that a thing?
Well, this is, I think, so I came across this other piece on the subject on National Geographic, and they had a similar theory and were positing that it is real, that the distinction of ritual specifically is when there is like some social significance of this behavior that takes precedence over a practical use. Like maybe you start functionally with doing something because it's like, it is serving some more practical purpose. But in time, that thing gains this new meaning. The example that they gave was actually like, potentially in earlier societies, there may have been ritualized ways of preparing food or cleaning the body just to prevent disease. But eventually, that practice became like a psychological comfort in the face of hardship. And then you're doing it not because even of those needs, just you're doing it because you do it. Like you're doing it because that is the way we do things and it makes you feel safe, which in some ways is also like an interesting test of the fun, the play, the more like positive side of ritual. There are others that probably are driven by more basal human needs.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, there's a definite religious connotation or spiritual connotation to the word ritual, but what is interesting is the fact, like when you pull up the definition, the third definition is a series of actions or types of behaviors regularly and invariably followed by someone, whereas the first definition is a religious or solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order. But I think in both, like everything that we've all said right now still applies, right? Like in that like mind state entering and time orientation, it's about like, the like Muslim prayer rituals of praying 5 times a day is about sort of trying to put yourself into a state of worship, engaging with your faith and gratitude and orientation, same as, Christian or Judaism or other faith traditions. It's trying to enter into that like religious orientation where you're connecting with your faith. But it's also that point about how even things that could be functional, right? Like ritualistic behaviors related to free throw shooting, for example, right? Like the idea is you start them as ways to like calm yourself down, take a moment, breathe, whatever. But then you sort of get stuck in the behavior, and that becomes like your only pathway to enter that mind state is sort of interesting as well.
Right. That's almost where, Aaron, your earlier point about our love of structure and taxonomy morphs and evolves into like something superstitious. Like you ascribe this meaning on top, so that it's no longer just following those steps and playing by those rules. It's like, and there's this special sauce that is important now, the consecration.
Yeah, something that's like above and more important than just the thing itself, but also like the other rule too of like, and maybe this is just me getting into religion, so maybe I'm just taking it too far. But the idea that then there is like a right and wrong that's just beyond like, oh, we've always done it this way. Like it's like, oh, there is a higher reason why we do it this way and why we do this thing. And for some reason I immediately thought about the difference between like going to like church on a Sunday versus going to my first time at a kickboxing class, which has happened. And it feels really awkward when you go into that kickboxing class that everybody else has been to over and over and over again, that they prioritize every week on their schedule. You're the new person and everyone knows the moves and knows like the cheers and the chants, and like there's like callbacks and forths with the person running the class, and you're just constantly like, oh, I am wrong, I am out of sync, and I don't know what everybody else is yelling about. Like it's like the like one of these things is not like the other. I don't know how to be a part of this, but I want to be a part of this. It's interesting how ritual, of course, just creates that just like in group, like you create your world.
But to your point is like making me think about the fact that it bleeds both ways, right? Where you can use ritual to generate like a spiritual moment or some other mind state that you want to achieve. But sometimes rituals that weren't intended to be spiritual can somehow wind up entering into like spiritual moralistic zones like you're talking about. Like I think hygiene comes up in this zone a lot. Like people get into these ritualistic behaviors around the way that they deal with their own personal hygiene. And some of those are cultural, some of those are personal or familial, whatever. Like they're quite varied, but because you wind up ritualizing them naturally, there's a moral aspect that winds up getting associated with them. And if you see online conversations about hygiene, it'll be like, you shower in the morning? I shower at night. That's wrong and gross or
You don't wash your legs?
Yeah,
oh
I-
God, we're not going there.
yeah, the leg
people
washing
need to wash
conversation.
their damn legs. That's yes.
I have opinions.
I have deep opinions.
But
No, not the time.
But I had a
Gentlemen?
conversation this week with friends about like the order of like, do you floss or brush first? And I was like, there's a right answer to this, but they were like, no, my way is the right way. Like you brush first and then floss. I was like,
No.
that is
Nope.
not how
Wrong.
you do that. But
That's not true.
Nope.
they'd always done it that way. It was like 3 people had always done it that way. So they were like moral, like they were in like a moral stance just based on ritualistic like behavior patterns. And I was like, they're like scientists actually studied this and it's not the right way. And they were like, oh, what? Like, and you know, they had found themselves in that place of just like ritual had created like a moral grounding in something.
Yes, it's very interesting that you could both intentionally or unintentionally find like the interplay between morality and ritual. I also think, per your point, Aaron, that also can span the individual and the community, the group, right? Like you could intentionally actually create a ritual to exclude other people, or you could intend to create community and then it inadvertently excludes other people who don't know the rules.
Yes. I mean, so I will admit I'm a little bit distracted by the flossing toothbrushing
You're like, first flossing.
because without a doubt so I have to say something that's related to that. I can't get it out of my head. I'm not as morally charged about this, but I do believe that it makes sense to wash your hair before you wash your face.
Yes. Top down.
Yes,
so this
right?
is a thing, cephalocaudally. Mammals wash themselves cephalocaudally, like head to tail. And so I was just going to like bring up that there's like weird genetic rituals too that are like actually like ingrained in us. Like you go head to tail in cleaning, and if you've never been told that, it's just like how you do it.
And, however, there are functional reasons that also apply to cleaning a house. If you've ever had good advice from a doting homemaker who will always tell you dust surfaces first, you go from the top, and then the last step is the floor, because obviously how you do the floor and then you do the top and then stuff falls on the floor, and now what are you gonna do? If you wash your face and then wash your hair, you got hair stuff on your face now. It's logic.
But so I was thinking you were gonna say kitchen to bathroom, because like there are quadrupeds the face is not necessarily more elevated than the tail, but they still go face to tail. And so I was kitchen to bathroom also kind of makes sense, even though I've never heard something like clean where you eat first and then make sure any bad stuff goes towards the bathroom, you know? I don't know.
I like all
is that
of
a thing
this.
people do?
I've never thought about doing that, and I really like that. I don't know. So admittedly, I was always thinking about it functionally, but I guess back to the. I'm sorry, I took us tangent.
No, we had to. I
do. I also do think that like as many good rituals there are bad rituals, but they still seem to serve the same purpose. And I don't know if I'm necessarily moralizing it that much, but of course I'm thinking like satanic rituals. That's where my brain goes. So I'm like, whatever. I grew up in Ohio. Bad. That's I'm gonna go ahead and like paint that with that
Satanic panic.
Satanic panic. And so like with all that though, like there is, I think, in there too, in a lot of these rituals, just there is a reaching, and I think it's because you're right, it comes from a religious context. Like ritual is first and foremost a religious thing, and then it sort of gets what's the word, secularized, you know, as we start to take it into other contexts. So reaching for something higher up, and perhaps just the act of reaching for something higher up, is a fundamentally human thing. Like that, like search for purpose, search for why, and that creates the communal aspect of it in and of itself. Is that, if you've got these genes, at some point you're saying why, and a lot of other people are saying why. Maybe we all sing the same songs and lift our arms up on the same day of the week, or multiple times a week, or kneel,
Or
genuflect, whatever.
during the Michigan game.
Good for you. Good.
Can
for
I
you.
proffer just like a
so
random theory that you just made me think, Aaron, that I've never thought about before?
Please
this,
do.
like the reaching, like the ritual component, like there's this whole idea of like consciousness emerging, like the, you know, whatever consciousness in like the bicameral mind or whatever, like the idea of like the ritual is occupying your left brain, and like religious experiences tend to sit in your right brain. And I was just thinking about like, is part of this just about like occupying your left hemisphere so that your right hemisphere can like actually engage in some of these things that are like higher order, like, you know, enlightenment, transcendence, like these like bigger emotions that sort of need your fullness of presence. And if you like fully occupy your left brain, like do this, just pay attention to your breathing over and over again, or like put this here, then put this here, then genuflect, then do whatever, like you can enter into the right side. I have no idea. This is just armchair theory.
It's another biohacking opportunity. Hack your
is.
brain, elevate to a greater place. Boom.
Oh, hack your brain, elevated plane. Come on.
Oh,
it was
I
right
missed that
there.
opportunity.
It was right there.
When you
that was
said
so
it,
good.
I thought you were gonna say like hack your brain, hack your brain. Like I was expecting a song.
Shit, also hack your brain, higher plane. I screwed up.
Yeah.
I failed. I'm sorry. I was so close to it. Yeah. So yo MTV Jess Vander wrap up corner. Any thoughts?
Oh boy. We can all agree, I think, that ritual is more than repetition. It's more than a habit. It's more than just doing something because it makes sense. It's doing something because there's something greater there. It's something that we need, that we want, that brings us together, that distinguishes us, that makes us have a lot of fun, that feels special. And they are plentiful for that reason. There are some rituals that we all seem to share. There are some rituals that we are fiercely opposed on. Come on, brush second. God. But what we do know is that they all have many purposes for us. And be you a ritual person, ritual family or not, get yourself some ritual. I don't know. I think we all could use some.
Treat yourself.
Add it to
2024.
Add it to your grocery list. Boom.
Bing, bang, bong, bong, bing, bong, bong, bong.
Many porpoises.
Many.
Higher purposes.
Whoa.
Hack your brain. Higher purposes.
Is this just porpoises on drugs?
I'm underwater. Oh.
Cephalopods doing drugs. They love drugs because they do so much. Oh yeah, cephalopods on drugs.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
Am I even using the right? It is cephalopods, right?
That's an octopus or a squid. Is that what you desire?
I was not looking for cephalopods. I was looking for cetaceans.
That's a whale or a dolphin.
Yeah,
Cetaceans?
yeah, that's what I was looking for.
That's the class or genus, whatever. They're.
Hmm.
I don't remember the,
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Aaron, come on. Hello.
Well,
God, I love this
apparently,
group of people.
I don't know what the
love you.
updates are, but apparently they've been like updating like phylogeny, like the taxonomy. Like there are new ways to partition. I think maybe kingdoms is gone or something.
What do you mean kingdoms is gone?
I think
Oh
there's
my
been
goodness.
updates to the thinking, but I don't know what they are.
Pluto is a goddamn planet. I don't care what anybody says.
No
Jesus.
emotional attachment.
Fun fact, for Chinese New Year, there is a planetoid named Gong Gong, which means grandfather in Chinese.
Oh.
There's a little planet, a little Gong Gong planetoid, little brown little planetoid, just
so
like hovering out
happy.
there. Yeah.
All right. I feel good about that.
Animal and fungi kingdoms are now going to be put together under the rank of empire, as the two kingdoms are closely related.
I'm a
This
fun
is
guy.
of what is called the Linnaean natural system as our predominant method for classifying organisms. It appears that this conversation originated in Oklahoma State University, but I don't know much about it. This is late breaking, so more to be discovered.
Indeed.
Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by a whole new world. We're talking kingdom, we're talking phylum, we're talking genus, species, and the other things that I got wrong in this sentence. But they're all coming for you right now, ladies and gentlemen. A whole new world. Rated R.
As always, we'd like to thank our executive producer and phylogenists, Jess Mander.
We'd also like to thank the crustacean of my heart and sticking claws in both of my ears, sound engineer Alex Contel. Thanks, friend.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and ontologist, Les Jacobs.
We'd also like to thank I'm out of animal puns, Sarah Gilbert and Nora Mestridge. Thank you for all of your production help.
And as always, thanks, Elen.
Thank you.
Special thanks.
Special thanks, I must thank my father for teaching me that phylogeny recapitulates ontogeny.
Wow. God, your dad's
Just-
cool.
Recapitulate it.
No, so you know what? I'm going to thank my dad too, and I'll tell you why. Because, Jess Vander, to your dad's point, I was just thinking the other day about how it was kind of cool growing up in a household that always had Science Magazine and Smithsonian like on the kitchen table, and my dad would be like, look at it, and I'd be like, I mean, cool?
No!
Yes. Like, I'll leaf through it, and I like having a nerd parent. I'm really, so thanks, Dad, for being such a weird nerd. Like, I'm just saying.
Hopefully Emerson feels the same way. I'm hoping in
Yo,
approximately 20 years.
So my dad, I mean, everybody knows this. My dad's a radiologist, and so like his brothers and stuff like that. Like radiology in the 60s is like one of the weirdest things that you could possibly do. Because it's like, so it's medicine, but it's like nuclear
Lasers?
reactors and stuff. It's like, at that time, super weird. So he had to be a weird guy, and he is. And he was.
Also, I have to immediately corrections department myself because I think I actually reversed the order, which demonstrates my lack of understanding of the subject. But I do believe it actually, I do believe it is ontogeny that is the recapitulating of phylogeny. And I don't know if I said the other one, but I must say it now just to be super sure.
So corrections department myself. I hate my dad. I hate scientific people and parents, and they're always wrong. And I unthank him. There we go. I think I'm there with you, Jess. All good.
This also just makes sense because the whole idea of ontogeny is the way you develop, and phylogeny is the ordered system. So it only would make sense if it is in that order. So anyway, allow me to correct myself. I'm sorry I failed you, Dad. Sorry, I thought it was here we are.
Here we are together. And thank you all for that. It was good. It's great.
I'll just say
It's fun.
thanks for cephalocotl. For why do I remember that? I don't know, but
That is a really deep
whatever
pull.
teacher taught me that, don't remember that. Just mammals clean themselves cephalocotly. There you go. Well, we did it. Merry Thanksmas.
Merry Thanksmas to you too.
Merry thanks, Miss Darling. Bye.
All right. Love you. Mean it.
Bye.
Bye.
Ibuprofen wrote this poem.